This might be the cheapest and one of the best cuts you can use for pulled pork, so stick around because in this video, I'm going to show you how to make smoked pulled pork using pork hocks. All right, so whatever barbecue you're using, set it up for some indirect smoking. We're going to be using our pellet smoker today, and the first thing we're going to do is fill our hopper with some pellets. Now we've gone with some pecan flavored pellets today. I absolutely love pecan with pork, but I find most fruit woods will go well with pork, so if you've got another favorite, feel free to use that. But for now, we're gonna shut our lid. We'll turn our pellet smoker on. We'll rotate our knob to select our cooking temperature, which for this cook is gonna be 135 Celsius or 275 Fahrenheit. And now that's just gonna go through its preheating cycle, which will take around 10 minutes. All right, so pork hocks. These are super cheap. I've seen these anywhere from $4 to $10 a kilo. Now the first thing we wanna do is just take this skin off. So I'm just gonna make a light incision, and then we just want to very carefully remove the rind. We don't want to go too deep. We want to leave a nice layer of fat on the outside if we can, and take your time doing this. You definitely want a nice sharp knife. You can get just underneath the skin. You can almost peel it back, but when you can't, you just want to be making little incisions with your knife, and then you just want to flip it over and continue taking the skin off around this whole pork hock. All right, and that is our pork rind removed. Now, if you order ahead at your butcher, you can get them to do this for you, but for now, I'm going to put this aside and we might do something with that later in the video. This really doesn't need any trimming. That's good to be seasoned, so I'll get these other ones done and then we'll season them up. All right, so my favorite flavor combination for pork is a combination of my steak shooter and honey soy slammer. You get some beautiful savory notes from the steak shooter and then some nice sweetness from the honey soy slammer. But before we season them up, we're just going to give our pork hocks a nice light coat in some yellow mustard, and that'll help our rubs stick to the meat. And then because the honey soy slammer is a much finer rub, I'm just going to go down with a base coat of that first. And then we're going to top these off with my steak shooter, which will give them a really nice color as well. And then we're just going to mop up any rub left on the cutting board. And then these are good to go once our smoke is ready. All right, and now our smoke is up to temperature. I'm going to open the lid. I'll get a drip tray underneath where our pork hocks are going to sit, and then we can get our pork hocks on. And then we'll shut our lid and let these start smoking away. All right, so now our pork hocks are on. I'm simply just going to leave them for around 90 minutes to 2 hours before we come back to check on them. What I'm going to be looking for is that rub to have set on the meat, and I want them to develop a really nice color as well. I've also saved some of that pork rind. We'll do something else with that later. So for now, I'm just going to get that into the fridge and we'll come back to check on these pork hocks once we're a bit further into this cook. All right, we're almost 2 hours in. Let's take a closer look. All right, now these have got some really nice color. I don't think that rub has quite set on there yet. As you can see, there's still a bit coming off on my finger. So we'll waste no time having this lid open, shut our lid, and let these keep going. All right, so it's been about 45 minutes since we last checked in. So that puts us almost 2.5 hours into this cook already. These are looking much better. That rub's set on there nicely, so we can get these out. Now I've just checked the internal temperature on these as well, and they're already at 185 Fahrenheit or 85-ish degrees Celsius. They are quite small, so they will rise in temperature quite quickly. But for now, we're going to get some chicken stock in. I want to maintain some nice sweet and savory notes. So we're going to use this chicken stock. Then I'm going to put some brown sugar in next. So we're just going to sprinkle some brown sugar over. And if you wanted to maintain more of a sweet flavor, you could always put things in like apple juice or pineapple juice or any other sort of fruit juice instead of chicken stock. Or if you want, you can always use your favorite beer or cider as well. And then to finish these off, we're just going to top each hock with a bit of butter. And then we're just going to cover our tray with foil, wrap it nice and tight. And then these are going to go back in the smoker. And like I said, because they're so small, it's not going to be a long cook. I reckon these will be nice and tender after around an hour. So that's how long we're going to let them go for before we check on them. All right, so while the pork hocks are in the last stage of their cook, we're going to make some pork crackling out of this pork rind I put aside. So real simple, just going to get that out. You want to pierce the skin all over. I'm going to be using a jacquard, but if you don't have one of these, just use the tip of a knife or something else sharp. And then we're just going to give them a light brush in oil, a light coat in some salt, and then these are going to go into the air fryer at around 200 degrees Celsius for 25 minutes or so until they've crackled up nicely. Right, and after the 25 minutes, these are looking good. As you can see, that jacquard has helped us get that nice, bubbly crackling we all love. And now I've got a tasty little snack to have before we check on these pork hocks. So quick and easy. All right, now we're not far off from checking our pork in the pellet smoker for probe tenderness. All right, so these have been wrapped up for around an hour now, so that puts us around 3.5 hours total into this cook. So let's just take this foil off a little bit, and we'll have a probe around to see where they're at. Oh, that feels very soft. Now, because these have so much connective tissue, much like a beef shin, I reckon these will be done right around the 210 Fahrenheit, which is pretty much what they're sitting at. Or what's that, around 99 degrees Celsius. These are super tender, so I'm just gonna unwrap that foil a bit more so we can get to the back of these ones. I mean, look at this, like that just wants to fall apart. I'm not putting hardly any pressure on that, and that's just ready to fall apart. So I reckon we can get these out now. And then I'll just put them down, let them steam off for 5 minutes just to stop that cooking process. After that, I'll just fold that foil back over, and then I'll give them a good rest for about 45 minutes to an hour before we come back to pull them apart. Then I'm just going to take our drip tray out, I'll put that aside, we'll shut our lid, and then I'm just going to hold our shutdown button, which will obviously start the shutdown process. And now that's telling me to drain the hopper. So all I've got to do is pull that handle on the side, and that'll drain all the pellets left in the hopper to the bucket underneath. And then that's just going to work through the rest of its shutdown cycle. It'll get rid of any pellets in the worm. It'll do a high temp burn off and a few other things. And that's got around 26 minutes and 45 seconds left. All right, our pork has had a little rest. So I'm just going to chuck some undergloves on. And then I'll chuck some plastic gloves on over the top. Then we can take this foil off. Oh, look at that. And that, it's just so tender. Now we've got some beautiful, tender, juicy pulled pork. Let's have a taste. Tender, juicy, full of flavour, everything you want in some pulled pork. And now I'll quickly show you how I'm going to serve it. All right, so brioche bun, coleslaw, pulled pork. We'll top it in my hook shot jalapeno and whiskey barbecue sauce. We'll put our top bun on, and now we'll have a taste. Oh, so good. You get some freshness and zing from that coleslaw, that pulled pork, obviously sweet, savoury, beautiful tender meat, nice brioche bun, and that barbecue sauce. That is such a good combination. Well, there you have it. There's how to make cheap, quick, easy, but super tasty pulled pork using pork hocks. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. But for now, that's the end of the video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.